Oh, baby. How about the Bearcats, everyone? Welcome to Chatterbox Bearcats. We stream live after every single game, except for the West Virginia game last week. And sometimes life happens, but we are here for you delivering Bearcats content. You can also find us wherever you get your audio podcasts. Those shows drop in the morning, and they are free. Chuck, Walter, Hudson Klauke with you. Bearcats, 3-0 on the season, 86-49. You want energy out of the gate. How about a couple slaps off the backboard? 14 blocks. A Cincinnati Bearcats SWAT team. A block party. We had 5 from Arrington Page, 2 from Rayvon Griffith, 1 from Josh Reed. Aziz Bandago had 4. Dillon Mitchell had 1. Jizzle James had a block. This is without Dan Skillings. This team, high flyers, Houdini. Welcome into the show, folks. This team's so damn good, man. Opening thoughts after an 86-49 win.
Fantastic. I was claiming Nicholls, man. They're decent. They're decent. Don't sleep on them. And we just whooped their ass. I mean, literally, start to finish, it was an absolute domination. I was hoping we'd hold them under 40, less than a point a minute. Didn't get it done. 86-49. But I mean, what more can you ask for?
The only thing you could ask for would be a healthy team at this point, because missing from the game, Day Thomas, who all signs are that Day Thomas could have played in today's game if it was a meaningful game. But based on a, 37-point win, they didn't need him, so he's going to get all the rest that he can get.
He told me in person that he was going to – I saw him. I went to the West Virginia game. I saw him there. He told me man-to-man he was playing Friday night. So, Day, quit lying to me. Quit lying to me, okay? Because I was like, he's got to be playing. No, he did not suit up. So, hopefully we get him back soon.
I mean, that's just a catch-22 of him not playing. Bearcats win by 37. They look unbelievable, and you're forgetting that their starting point guard and small forward from last year's team in the Big 12, they haven't even played. You know, I mean, Dan's played a hot minute here, but, man, this is just incredible to see 1 through 12 right now from the Bearcats. Defensively, it's swarming. That's the first topic I'm bringing up on the show today, because I think that's the most impressive thing I've seen. I mean, spreading the wealth on offense is really nice. I do think it's going to come down to about 4 or 5 players that we'll discuss in a minute that are just a tier above everyone else. But it's the defense, man. It's the closeouts. It's the flying after rebounds. It's Cincinnati grabbing 46 compared to Nicholls 32. It's blocking 14 shots. It's stealing the ball 6 times. It's just defensive tenacity from just about everyone. I mean, Tyler Betsy leaves a little to be desired. His on-ball defense pretty good, situationally and position some positions right now. He's struggling to get to the IQ, maybe not 100% there. But, man, Hickman can defend. Aziz has just been awesome. Page has been pretty good defensively. I mean, you go up and down the lineup. Mitchell's been incredible. Jizzle James' on-ball defense is just sensational. I mean, defensively, this team, it's going to be their bread and butter. I know we've talked about how their offense is definitely a lot better than it's been in years past. They score 86 points today, shoot at 54% from the floor, 40% from deep. But I think when it comes down to it, when push comes to shove, this team it's defense, it's toughness, it's grit, and maybe, just maybe, a team that can actually shoot it 38 to 40% from deep consistently.
Yeah, and we see John Rothstein just firing off tweets that, Butler loses a bye game to Oklahoma Tech. The epitome of brutality. So these types of things happen, and I know it's been bye games, but you're right. This has been our best complete performance, I would say, on the defensive side. We were one of the best rebounding teams in the country last year from a differential standpoint. We hadn't really seen that yet, even though the competition we played hasn't been great. But we really flexed our muscle on the defensive end and the rebounding edge. 46 to 22, it got a little skewed based on garbage time. How about this, though?
32 now. Give Nicholls their credit on the glass.
Thought that's what I said. Whatever. Doesn't matter. We own them. Aziz Bandago, again, ESPN stats have been wrong. 0 rebounds. He's 7 feet tall. I'm seeing 0 boards, and I don't recall him actually having one during the game. So that is that might be the first time he's ever played a basketball game with 0 rebounds, right?
Yeah, and 4 points, 2 or 3 shooting. Now he left the game banged up and did not return for a while. But I thought to start, I mean, the statistics don't really show how well Aziz Bandego played. 4 blocks. It felt like it could have even been more. Felt like he did impact the game somewhat offensively early, especially with that little turnaround jump hook that he's added to the arsenal right now. But yeah, you're right. When you look at the box score from Bandego, not a lot to get excited about, but I think he's been awesome, man. Eye test. We got eyeballs. We know ball. Come on now.
No, I love Aziz, man. No issue with Aziz tonight. I just thought it was interesting when I looked at the box score that he had 0 rebounds, and I don't know the final minutes he played. Played 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Yeah, I assume he's going to get a board. So just something to look out for. Aziz, 0 boards. It's got to be the first time in his career.
Man, there are 4 dudes right now on this team that I think are more impressive than anyone else. And I mean, Hickman goes 2 of 7 in the game, has 4 points, nothing special. But like I said, even if he's not impacting the game offensively a ton, he's just a good basketball player. Doesn't make mistakes, had 0 turnovers, plays solid, hard-nosed defense, 3 assists, grabs 3 rebounds. So Hickman's going to give you really good minutes regardless. Page, 11 points and 5 blocks, 6 rebounds. The numbers look really good from Arrington Page. We'll talk about coming up on the show in just a bit whether we believe he's ready to contribute big-time minutes in the Big 12. And it's ready or not, here he comes. Like, he's going to have to contribute big-time minutes. Will that be an issue for UC? We'll get into that. Tyler Betsy shows some freshman moments, but he finishes with 7. Josh Reed played really good minutes and finished with 8. But it's clear right now that there's 4 dudes, and it may turn into 6 when Dan Skillings and Day Thomas are back, but 4 dudes that are just the core of this team. It's Aziz Bandego defensively and just what he brings to the table with his size alone. He affects the game tremendously. It's Dillon Mitchell, 12 points, 9 rebounds today, 3 of them offensive, had a block. Dillon Mitchell is just lengthy. He can get to anything. He has that Gary Clark, Justin Jackson in his bag where he can trail the play, catch up to it, and swat it off the backboard, which is what we love as Bearcats fans. Leaves a lot to be desired shooting. Was 0 of 2 from the line with 2 of the worst misses you'll see. Missed his lone 3-point opportunity and has yet to hit a 3 in collegiate basketball. But he's 6 of 8 from the floor, 12 points, 9 rebounds. He's active. He goes and grabs the ball, plays amazing on-ball defense like all these guys. And then Simas Lukosius, 5 of 7 from 3. He has 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 19 points. I mean, he is lethal from deep. You give him an inch, he is going to take the entire mile and get himself 3. And then Jizzle James, 8 of 11 from the floor. I feel like he missed his first 3 shots, so that means he made everything from there. Was 1 of 3 from deep, had 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 19 points as the co-leader with Simas Lukosius. Those clearly are 4 dudes to me. Which of them impressed you most in the game today? Or was it just spurts of everyone?
I mean, every one of those guys impressed me. I mean, Simas and Dillon Mitchell definitely stand out. Jizzle James was awesome too. It's hard to even pick. I think Simas Lukosius came in shooting 70% from 3. He went 5 of 7. I'm not doing the math on this. The guy is shooting like 80% from 3-point line in like 90 from 2. The guy is, I said it from the beginning that I think he's going to be our most consistent guy and go-to guy down the stretch. He was incredible as always. And Dillon Mitchell, it looked like a guy playing against the middle school team that's 22 years old. Because Nicholls, I'm sorry, it's unfair to even have him matching up with these guys athletically. It's not even remotely close. He showed his freak moments as he's already done this year. We're going to see what he can really bring to the table. Not that he hasn't played Big 12 competition. The guy came from Texas, averaged 10. We know he can do it. But we'll see what kind of impact he can have, and the sky's the limit. But he looked great, man. He had a couple of tip back slam, the rebounding, the tenacity he has, blocking shots. I mean, I thought he was the star of the show tonight, even though we had Simas Lukosius go 7 of 11 and 5 threes. So it's hard to even pick, man.
bring this down just a little bit for the people on YouTube. Man, so those four, Simas, Jizzle, Aziz, Mitchell, stellar. Defensively, that's what most impressed me from the game. UC holds Nicholls to 30%, 22% from three. But look, it's Nicholls. Athletically, Cincinnati just overmatched them. That's the thing, though. Who in the Big 12 is going to match Cincinnati athletically? And I don't even know if that's an exaggeration. Like, there's some teams that may be close, but when it comes to a team that's going to match them pound for pound, inch for inch, position for position, I mean, I'm looking at Baylor and wondering, probably not. Kansas. I mean, it's going to be tough, man. Starting five out there, especially if it's Dan instead of Connor, no way. I mean, this team is physically imposing. You remember where the Bearcats were playing Hicks and Max Eel on the court at the same time? And you're like, that's two of the top 5 shot blockers in UC history, and they were running at the same time. It feels that way with like Aziz and Dillon Mitchell and Arrington Page and other guys that can go up and just flat out swat shots. I mean, 14 of them. When's the last time UC had 14 block shots? I mean, probably wasn't that long ago to be realistic with you. It was probably last year in an OOC game, but it seems like a ton to me.
No, you're right, though. Athletically, I really think that we compete with anybody in the country. I mean, the Big 12, you're looking at a loaded conference with, the likes of Houston. Baylor's got athletes. They're small, though. They don't have the size that we have. We have a little bit of everything with the size, athleticism, the three-point shooting finally. And Kansas is loaded. I can't wait. I'm hoping Kansas turns into a fraud. I feel like every year that they're ranked number 1 in the country, they end up just in disaster. But they have a loaded roster. There's going to be, Arizona is loaded as well. There's going to be teams where we can't just flat out athletic them. But I think we got the skill guys to win a lot of ball games, man. I'm really hoping that we can get in that, 2018 Cats range where we're sitting there in the top 10 at some point, because I really believe in this team.
Here's the thing about that team, though, and they had a great non-conference until they went into Florida and Xavier, 2 games that they lost. They got crushed by Xavier, and Florida controlled a lot of that game, even though it was close late. I think this team is going to go pretty much unscathed through the non-conference. And, I mean, it'll be a different story when we hit that 2-game back-to-back with Xavier and Dayton. That's where the serious questions get brought up. All right, what is this team's weakness? Because as of right now, we did the same thing after 3 games last year. We said the same exact thing, Houdini. First game, Bandego came back and looked like freaking Blake Griffin against, who was it, Georgia Tech. We thought the Bearcats were cutting down the nets. I dead serious went to sleep one night thinking that the Bearcats were cutting down the nets, and they won 7 games in the Big 12 and lost 11. So life comes at you quickly. We've seen this story before. I'm pretty sure a team with Jeremiah Davis put up 100 points in a game, and actually that team made the Sweet 16. So case in point, man, Bearcats are rolling through this thing right now. Villanova, I don't think should be that difficult of a matchup. So really, until you get to Xavier, it seems like tune-up games. In the next game coming up against Northern Kentucky, that's one that 3 years ago was not a tune-up game. The Bearcats lost it, but this is a completely different team. This team is going to overmatch 95% of college basketball. I think they're going to win a ton of games alone off just having bigger, stronger, faster, higher motor basketball players. Unless IQ gets in the way, and we haven't seen that yet because they haven't really had opportunities to showcase that they don't play smart basketball. Unless that gets in the way, like there's no reason to think that Cincinnati isn't going to dominate almost all these games in the non-conference, which is nice because last year there were a few. Howard, I think it was Illinois-Chicago was within 11 with, 10 minutes to go in the game. And I mean, these are drubbins, man. Drubbins. Cover's the only thing in question.
Well, the turnovers is really going to be what it comes down to, and I'm not for a second. I don't care if Xavier's rolling out the Baden JV high school team. We always have an opportunity to lose them. They're a solid squad this year, but turnovers is going to be the big thing. Jizzle had some really bad ones. And again, we don't have you said starter. I think Day-Day's going to be coming off the bench for Jizzle James when it's all said and done. But would love to have him. But last year, our kryptonite was turning the ball over. And, we had 12 turnovers tonight against Nicholls, right? And that could get a little bit too high when we start playing, elite defenses, which we will see plenty of. That's going to be what it comes down to. Can we control the basketball? Can we actually, not be throwing it around like crazy on full court presses, things like that? But you're right. We shouldn't lose an out-of-conference game this year, straight up. I mean, if we do drop one, that's fine. It happens to very good teams.
It's not fine.
I mean, we saw
it's not fine because that would mean we either dropped it to Xavier or Dayton. You drop it at the Pavilion to Villanova and run the table. Sure, we're okay with that, but it's not fine, Houdini. It's not. This is a different team.
Well,
it's fine in pastures. It's not.
Say, Chuck.
High standards, man. Quality control. It's what we do.
You were doing that's fair. That's fair. We have high standards here as Bearcats fans. But you're saying, last year when we were 3-4-0, we were feeling high and mighty. This is a complete that was more of a surprise. We didn't know what we had. We had so many transfers. This year, we know what we have. I mean, we returned a lot of our star players. We lost Newman, gained Dillon Mitchell, gained Tyler Betsy, gained Connor Hickman, and brought back the rest of our firepower. So we are expecting truly a great basketball team this year. Last year, it was like, hey, it's almost like the football season. It's like, wait a minute, we're 3-1 in the Big 12? I didn't anticipate this. We were picked to finish 13th. So we expect to win, and so far, so good. Again, these are all tune-up games, bye games. But we got to keep the gas, the pedal down on all of the NKU. I don't care. We better – am I the only one? I'm a little terrified to go on the road. After that Howard game last year, talent-wise, we were probably 100 times better. I'm terrified to go into the concrete jungle of NKU. We should win the game by 40 points, straight up.
Two things scare me. It's NKU and then it's that Dayton. I think Xavier this year, we're going to come out at home, guns ablazing, and win that game. But Dayton's bringing caravans in. They're bringing hot air balloons full of fans down 75 to this basketball game. And last year, I'm pretty sure they outdrew UC fans unofficially. But it seemed close. That way. That one scares me a little bit, just for that reason alone, that it's kind of a sleepy game. It's not a Sunday this year, which is nice, but I hate that. And then NKU, they're just not good. The matchup, sure, a road game at NKU where we lost the last time we played there, and it's the payback of using their stadium, old BB&T, where I'm pretty sure we won every game but one. But the team that they boast now, losing Marquez Warwick, this is not the NKU of yesterday. This is a rebuilding year, a team that's probably not going to be good in their own conference. They just lost to Nicholls. If this game's within 15 points, something went very wrong. So the non-conference, for the most part, it comes down to Dayton for me. And then Xavier's always going to terrify me. It just does. But Cincinnati's got some depth. I think they have the clear tier that we just talked about. And then from there, it's Paige, it's Betsy, it's Rayvon Griffith. We'll see how much CJ Frederick does. He has a scare in tonight's game where he goes down holding his knee, it looked like. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, if this is how his career ends, that's such a tough way to go out. He was saying something to Wes, and he must have said, that was close or something, because he looked pissed. But he was good to go by the end of the game, it looked like, although he did not go back in there. Again, no CJ Anthony, unless he came in the last 60 seconds. CJ, we get him?
No. CJ Anthony now, he's got to be talking to Wes right now in the locker room. What do I got to do? What do I got to do to get in this game?
The players are going to go Rudy. They're all going to take off their jerseys and put them on Wes's desk. And it's CJ.
Seriously, he's got to be like, what does it take? Or do we have to be up 150 points for me to get just on the court for a second? They're putting Meeker in if we're up 15 with 5 minutes left back in the day. CJ Anthony, I mean, hey, keep working. They love throwing him on the Instagram page, though, so at least he's got that going for him.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, because, I mean, they're not even getting Halvin in there until the last 2 minutes of the game. So that tells me all you need to know, and that's Wes is working these combinations. He's getting as much tape as he can get, because it's not going to be 12 men, 11 men when we get to the nitty gritty. We got to find out which combinations work, who of these good players like Josh Reed, Tyler Betsy, Rayvon Griffith are going to be completely left out of the mix because, they're not playing 10 deep when we get to late February, early March. That's for sure. But Page is going to have a role by default. Tyler McKinley gets hurt in the offseason, whole red shirt. Sounded like Tyler McKinley was ready to contribute, and maybe that would have given us less of Arrington Page, but as of right now, he's playing good minutes, 11 points, 5 blocks, 6 rebounds. Arrington, your thoughts on him? Someone that can stretch the floor and knock down threes, is shown by today. Shot a couple of them, hit one, hit 4 of his 6 free throws, is powerful down low, has an NBA-ready body, it looks like, for someone that size, but not a big vert by any means, and positionally, not great defensively. I thought there were some mistakes. Help side defense, just wasn't even attempting to get a hand in there and try to rip it out, and it was easy line drive takes to the bucket from Nicholls. So defensively, he had 5 blocks, so who am I to say that he didn't have a good defensive game? But your overall thoughts on Arrington this season, like how much of a role he's going to play when Bandego hits the bench, or are we going to slide Mitchell to the 5, play Dan at the 4, and we're not going to be seeing much of Page unless it's, a game that he fits into?
He hasn't done anything to show that he won't be a rotation guy. Like we said, McKinley's out. We need a true 5 to back up Aziz. There is potential for certain situations that I think Dillon Mitchell will slide into that 5 spot, depending on if we shake up that starting lineup too. But everything I've seen from Arrington Page has been honestly a little bit better than I thought. He's got some good back to the basket moves. Again, when you're playing teams like Nicholls and Arkansas Pine Bluff, you don't have another 7-footer guarding you. But he's had better footwork than I've seen. His lateral speed has a little bit to be desired. He's kind of a slow-moving big, and that'll be interesting to see when we're playing. Like I could see against a team like Baylor when they're not playing true bigs a whole lot, where he doesn't have a huge role. But we're going to be playing, the Kansases of the world, where they got 2 legit bigs. With Dickinson and Adams, whatever his name is, looks like he should be even middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears. He's going to have a role on this team, and I've been pleasantly surprised, especially seeing him sit back and drill a 3-pointer. We'll take it. He's 6'10", man. Former top 35 recruit in the country. I've liked what I've seen so far.
I like what I've seen from this team as a whole. This team's great, man. This team's great, and I know it's 3 games into the season with wins over Moorhead, Pine Bluff, and Nicholls. For God's sakes. My dad loves the sport of basketball, and if I mentioned off all those 3 teams, I don't think he could tell you where any of them are located. But Dad, Moorhead's right up the road. It's in Kentucky. He would say West Virginia. That's when you know you've played a bad schedule at this point in the season. But it's the eye test, man. I think this team it's going to be ballsy to say, considering that was a 2-seeded team in the NCAA tournament. But I think this team's better than 17-18. It was 17-18, right? Or 18-19.
One of the two. I hate that it changes calendars. It really
throws
me off on what you're
Final answer, Regis, 17-18. But I think this team's better, man. I think they're deeper. I think they have more scoring. Jizzle, Simas, and Dan Skillings, plus Connor Hickman and Betsy nailing threes. That team did have Cumberland, Kane Broom. Trey Scott wasn't Trey Scott at that point. Keith Williams wasn't Keith Williams at that point. They had Kyle Washington, Jacob Evans. That team was pretty nice too. Don't get me wrong. But this team just defensively, I think they're even better than that Mick Cronin squad, which is crazy to say because that team could lock the hell down. But just the way Jizzle's picking up full court. You saw that possession right before half. Apparently, our boots on the ground, Nick Niehaus, had a bet on the over of the first half points total. It was like 42 or something. And the Cats are at 40 in the first half, whatever it may be. They were at, what were they at? They were at 39. The over-under was at 41.5. And they pick up full court. Jizzle James, Aziz Bandego go for the trap. Nicholls just too much speed, too much length, too much size coming at Nicholls in all facets, and they just chuck it away. Cats go up the floor, and Lukosius buries another deep three. And that was a thing of beauty, man. Like, if this team goes down late in games, 5-point game with 2 minutes left or something, or 7-point game, 2 minutes, and they have to start going to the full court press, I'm intrigued to see what they could give you. I mean, this is a team that I think could run and gun and trap in corners and really use the sidelines to their advantage and be an incredible defensive team that way if it ever got to that point. But unfortunately, we don't really see that anymore.
Oh, we haven't even seen our best, guard on-ball defender at Day Thomas. I mean, that guy would be – we saw it last year. He's a lead in full court press if that's something that we need to do or utilize. But you got to give credit to Jizzle James. I mean, they mentioned it on the broadcast. The reason West wasn't playing him is he was worried about his defense. His defense, in a lot of its effort, I think, and he is, as far as effort is concerned, he has looked great defensively. Sean Salisbury, our good friend, said it best. I think Jizzle James has the balls of a daytime burglar. I mean, he's not afraid of anything at all. The guy's a gamer. Every cliche you want to say, man, hard-nosed kid. And you got to like what you've seen. Even when his shot wasn't falling early, I mean, we've only 3 games in. Same thing tonight, though. He misses his first 3, rattles off, I think, 8 straight. Like, he doesn't care. He has the memory of a goldfish as far as him missing shots. So you got to love that. I mean, it's gonna pay dividends once we start playing Big 12 basketball.
Balls of a daytime burglar, baby. All right, schedule picks up a bit. It's at Northern Kentucky. Road game, but Northern Kentucky's not good. They've yet to win a game, and they lost to Nicholls. Transitive property is always correct. Should be a pretty sizable win for the Bearcats, you would hope. Knock on that wood. Then it's at Georgia Tech. Much more difficult game, but definitely one that's winnable for the Bearcats, and they should be favored by at least 9.5 to 12.5 points. One would think. My early models are telling me. Then it's Alabama State. It's at Villanova, who is down under Kyle Neptune. It's Howard in the revenge game. Hopefully we get a better broadcast, although with ESPN Plus, man, at this point, I don't even know about that. I mean, it was ringing my ears at the beginning. I was like, fix your damn audio. I have this thing on bar all the way down volume, and it's at 100 decibels in my ear, whatever that means. Then it's Xavier, it's Dayton, it's Grambling. I mean, this is a team that heading into the new year, I guess the day before New Year's Eve, which is the 30th, it's at Kansas State. That should be the first time this year that it's like, all right, Bearcats are going to be tested. And I say that knowing that the Xavier Musketeers are still the Xavier Musketeers, but I haven't been impressed by what I've seen. But then again, I said that last year. They lost to Delaware and someone else that was trash at the beginning of the year, and they were dangerous. But the models are saying, according to ESPN Analytics, the Bearcats have an 82% chance of winning that game against Xavier. Xavier's got the 17% chance. In fact, I went through the schedule. Bearcats are only projected to lose 5 games this season. It's their first game, Kansas, on the 11th of January. They're projected to lose that per the models. They're projected to lose both at BYU and at Utah. It's supposed to be a very tough trip out west. I don't think that's going to happen. And then they're supposed to lose at Iowa State in February, and they're supposed to lose at Houston in March. So 5 games this season the Bearcats are projected to lose. That's it. If that's the case, man, we're going to be having a whole lot of fun on these post-game shows. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. You go to the Chatterbox Bearcats Instagram page, hit that follow button, and get content thrown your way for free, man. There's not that many people on the internet delivering Bearcats content. When you want it, we got it on demand, baby. We'll give it to you. Any final thoughts, Houdini, from a big win? Big win. A win by a lot of points. Big win.
I know. It feels like we're doing the same show every time. We're going to do the same thing against NKU. It's like, I mean, what more can we say? I mean, we look like a really damn good team. Let's wait till we play some real basketball squads. But everything we've seen, lesser teams would actually let some of these teams hang around for at least a little bit. We're not doing it. In West, we trust. In this roster, we trust. Sky is the limit. Let's keep it going. Go Cats.
We're going to have a lot more of these shows where we're just talking about the same things over and over. But, you know, we're going to get our Tyler Betsy game. We're going to get our Connor Hickman game. And we're going to get some storylines as we enter a much more difficult schedule. We just got to wait a little bit, man. Just enjoy the ass whoopings because we got a gauntlet. We got Murders Row coming when the calendar flips to January, the hardest Bearcats schedule in school history. This is Chatterbox Bearcats. Again, give us that thumbs up if you watched all the way through. Give us that 5-star review on your audio podcast platform. And I will see you after the Iowa State football game tomorrow. However, the line for me doing a show is 20.5. If the Bearcats don't cover 20.5, then it'll just be audio only. But they're winning this game. Money line, baby. Good stuff, Houdini. Have a good Friday night, everyone. Chatterbox Bearcats.